Good morning, everybody. John here at Havoc Maker Studio. Hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. So I want to try something a little different. While we're waiting for a variety of gaming news to come out of like Atomic Mass Games, there's some spicy Warhammer Plus stuff going on right now, and even some video game news that I'm updating. And I'm working on a video also for the official, I guess, review for Miss Marvel, not my kind of just snap take, but more of an in-depth Miss Marvel first episode review. I wanted to do one where we cover what, at least what I think, or maybe we all are thinking, top 10 franchises that we would like to see as a tabletop miniature game. So we're going to go through these and let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see it? Would you not like to see it? Which ones that are not included in this top 10 list would you actually want to see? Maybe I missed something that's just glaringly obvious. So let me know what you guys think. So first up, let's talk about Pokemon. It is number 10 on my list, so it's the bottom of my list for many, many reasons. I have no love for or hate against Pokemon, and it's just bypassed me. I kind of like skipped around it and never really got interested in Pokemon. That's not to say there's anything wrong with it, but there is something that is appealing as a tabletop gamer that draws me to Pokemon, in the sense that this could be a great skirmish game where you have either a squad-based skirmish game, just like when you're playing the collectible card game, which is just amazingly super popular franchise or a game system, and of course any of the digital games that are so popular. I mean, virtually nobody, there's like nobody out there doesn't know what Pokemon is. So maybe some 120-year-old woman in Japan that is the oldest woman in the world, maybe she's never heard of Pokemon. Maybe there's like that person, maybe like two other people. Most people know what Pokemon is. I mean, it is a brand. It is a name brand. And to see this on the tabletop, either as a squad base, where it's just you have your trainer miniature, and then you have your selection of Pokemon models, and who knows, it could be as simple as a one-on-one fight, or maybe you have three, or maybe it's up to five. Who knows? Depending on game sizes, there's a lot of different game sizes you can go, and also maybe how many points each of the Pokemon evolutions. Well, you're allowed to have, say, I don't know, let's say 100 points of Pokemon. Well, from the base Pokemon all the way up to their evolved form, they have different point values, and that determines, if you're allowed to use them or not, or how you're going to make your team. And another avenue that they could go is a much larger skirmish game where you have multiple trainers on each side. Now, this would kind of hit more towards a warfare game, and I'm not saying war in the more lethal sense, but just a larger battle where you have multiple people. Let's say you have it's a 2-on-2, or not 2-on-2, but maybe you've got Ash and Misty and their Pokemon on your team, and your buddy is playing Team Rocket, and they got those two trainers, and they've got all their Pokemon. So you're looking at maybe 6 Pokemon per side, plus the 2 trainers. They do things to help buff or augment or even heal with potions and such your Pokemon as they're battling it out. I think there's a lot of very cool possibilities there. You keep it at a small 2x2 game. I think there's some good potential there. Still not necessarily my my bag, or my in my niche or my wheelhouse, but I would be interested. I would at least give it a try. Number 9, however, is the Harry Potter universe. Now, I know some people are like, John, they've already got a Harry Potter game out there with miniatures. You're right, they super do. It's an adventure board game rather than a skirmish game, in the sense that what we're talking about here, I think if Knight Models, who currently has the Harry Potter miniature licensing, I guess you would call it, they have their board game, which is a little expensive, but it's still some high quality, really super high quality miniatures, really high quality miniatures. But now expand that out into a tabletop skirmish game. Still maybe on a 3x3. We keep it small. You keep your team, your different teams small. You have obviously all the different factions available to you. Obviously all the different schools, then all the bad guys. There's a lot that could be going on there. At different locations, all the wonderful and wondrous locations in the Harry Potter universe you could be battling it on. A lot of environmental things that could be taking place. I think on the tabletop, this would be a really fun game and a really awesome franchise outside of the board game or the adventure game, tabletop adventure game that they got going on right now. I think they're very limited right now on what they're doing, and I think it's definitely this series could lend itself, especially if you've watched the movies and even watched the prequels, all the Fantastic Beast material. We have a fantastic, wonderful world with so many different factions and time periods that this should be like a hot selling tabletop skirmish game. I'm not saying it's going to beat Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, but it's definitely going to draw so many people into other franchises. So number 8 is going to be Avatar: The Last Airbender. Still, this is another one of those franchises that I'm not super keen on because it doesn't. I don't think it really. I don't think I'm necessarily the demographic for it. There's a lot of appeal, especially. There's a lot of episodes I really enjoy, the funny ones and even the really awesome ones, like at the end of the original series when I can't even think of his name. I almost said Demon Lord Eisen. Where Fire Lord Eisen, man, you guys somebody's gonna be typing away furiously right now at me, and Aang are battling it out. It was such a cool cinematic moment, at least animated wise, that I was really excited about. So if we take the original series, we have all the different elemental nations. We know that there was a war that went on, and we could be seeing that. And we could be participating in or on the tabletop. And another version of this, we could look over at the whole Korra series that came after. I guess it'd be the sequel series. And then we could do the more of a small warband or skirmish or team-based, squad-based game. You know, they've got the that sports game. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But you could be having something like that going on, like an arena game. And you could also, they could package this as 2 different game systems, kind of like what they do with Warhammer 40,000 and Kill Team. They have a squad-based game like Kill Team for the whole Korra series. And then those miniatures can be used for the larger battle game for Avatar: The Last Airbender series. I think this definitely lends itself to a miniature franchise. Why it hasn't made there yet, I don't know. I know that there is an RPG out, or it will be out once it. I know the Kickstarter is definitely done. I know some people backed it. I don't know if it's available yet, but there's a lot of people that bought into it just for it being Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think collectors you'd probably have a good mix of 50-50 on collectors and gamers getting involved in this. Next up is Battlefield or the Call of Duty franchises. I put them together because they're similar, and I know some people are going to rage like Call of Duty is better, Battlefield's better. Rawr. They're going to freak out, but I think a much more larger scale tabletop modern day skirmish game. Yes, I know that there's Spectre operations out there, but it's like a 2 or 3 man operation. They have a hard time keeping up with printing their books and their miniatures. Now, if a major company or let's just say WizKids, God, please no, not WizKids, but let's say WizKids was to pick up one of these franchises or something similar, and come up with a very robust but easy to play system for tabletop modern skirmish games. this right here, this type of properties or these type of properties would sell, and then you could do expansions. Imagine going, hey, we've got this great skirmish game system. We got our Battlefield version or Call of Duty version, whatever. It would lend itself to Fortnite or Apex or any of those type of battle royale games also, or those first-person shooters. Somebody could do something really amazing with a modern day skirmish game, especially if you slap a label on it, a Battlefield or Call of Duty, then people are going to flock to it. Number 6 on this list is Halo. And once again, I don't care about the Halo TV series. I don't care about the video games. Well, I do care about them because we got, well, maybe not the TV series, because as we know, the creators didn't look at the lore for it or the games. So we're going to look over at the actual lore and the video games for this. Now, mind you, there's 2 really big factions going on here. Now, we could toss, 3 factions if you want to count the Flood. So there we go, 3 factions. We got the Covenant, the Flood, and the UNC. And each of those, maybe not the Flood so much, but each of those have a number of sub-factions that you could use. Like the UNC, you could just have a straight Spartan program. Maybe you have the Hell Jumpers, or maybe just the basic troopers, or some combination. The Covenant and their sub-factions. And then, of course, you could have the human, like Outcast, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of potential with the Halo universe there, especially if you make it customizable, like the miniatures customizable. Number 5, one that I would love to have put at the top of the list, but I have to be reasonable here. But we have Tom Clancy's The Division. And yes, I know that Tom Clancy didn't write The Division. It's just a label they slapped up on there to draw people in. But the Division games are really good games. And they have so many factions. And yes, this would go along with a tabletop skirmish game with more modern day. But this would lend itself to good squad-based skirmish, kind of like Kill Team-esque, and you have so many factions. Obviously you have the Division agents, you have the, and I forget what they call it, but I'm just going to say it, the Army. Then you have all the gangs, and you have the Black Tusks. So there's so many different factions that you could use here. Even the civilians, getting the civilians as a militia body, that gives you a bunch of factions. Imagine the terrain and the type of control. Just take elements of the video game for like control points, rescue operations, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot that you could do with this game, not only for quick, fast games, but also campaign settings. And just think of the amazing miniatures that would come along with this, all the weapon options and backpack options, and then all of the special weird gear that you could have that's just that we have right now or just near future. I think this one would really, really sell. I would actually love to see this. In fact, I might just have to try to work on this and try to pitch a sale. Then Dune. Dune really does lend itself to a tabletop game. Yes, it has got a lot of political stuff going on with it, but we've already seen another game that involves not only the tabletop or the warfare aspect, but also the political aspect with the Cool Mini or Not's Song of Ice and Fire, based on the Game of Thrones franchise. They could do the same thing with Dune. I think it would be really awesome. And I'm not talking like the was it David Lynch Dune, with the sonic devices that weren't really in the book, but looked really awesome. I got super excited when I saw those in the original movie. But this game can lend itself to an amazing large scale battle system. So if we wanted to go large scale, not just skirmish, but large scale, something that could even rival, say, Warhammer 40,000, like for Song of Ice and Fire, I would say is not only a spiritual successor of the Warhammer Fantasy Battle line, but a superior game to Age of Sigmar. And we're starting to see more people play that over Age of Sigmar. Dune, people would flock to this. It wouldn't kill Games Workshop, but it would definitely cause some concerns. All right, so moving on, we got number 3. Yes, we already have a superhero game out there, but I really think My Hero Academia could really lend itself to a tabletop miniature game with mainly it's going to be skirmish or squad based, just like you see in the anime or read in the manga. I think another excellent element out of this is to have like what we've seen with the new Dungeons and Dragons framework miniatures, where you get a basic model and then you get a variety of upgrade options to really customize your character. They could come out with a couple, I guess, generic packs of characters. Let's say they go with like 3 or 4 archetypes of heroes and villains. And then you have male and female version, and you have a variety pack of upgrades that you can go, well, I want to use this head and I want this arm because I would like to do this quirk. And then you just have your basic characters going, okay, well, I've got a hero from the academy. This lets me have X amount of points of upgrades. So I've customized my character. This character's got a quirk of fire repellents, and whatever. Yeah, it could be a little cheesy, but I think that there's a lot of visually cool things you could do with the miniatures, and it would definitely help even secure manga and anime's foothold in the West by having a tabletop miniature game. However, I would have to say, let a Western company come up with the rules, and then some Japanese company come up with the miniatures. I think they would do a much better job with the miniatures over some of the Western companies. So, number 2, Mass Effect. I am a huge Mass Effect fan. I would love to be able to put this at the top of my list, but it's still not there. I've even managed to run and play the unofficial Mass Effect 5e rules. They're actually really good. I really enjoyed playing that, and I know my players really enjoyed getting involved with it, but I moved, so we couldn't play it anymore. But Mass Effect has got so many factions. And I'm not even talking about Andromeda. We're just talking about the main Mass Effect universe for like 1 through 3. We got the prehistory of it. We got all the different races, all the different factions, all those amazing abilities. I mean, we'd have all the different, we have the infiltrators, the engineers, sentinels, vanguards, and so on and so forth. This game would be awesome to see on the tabletop. It literally lends itself to being a large scale war game, or even a skirmish level war game, somewhere in between. Definitely right up there. I mean, we've got a huge, rich lore and history for this game, this universe. This definitely would lend itself to a tabletop game. Now, before we get to number 1, I want to do an honorable mention. I want to talk about DC Comics. Yes, there is a DC Comics miniature game out there. There's the Batman game, and then there's the DC Multiverse game. They are done by Night Models, the same ones that do the Harry Potter adventure game, their board game. This game, the miniatures are absolutely bonkers, crazy, awesome, amazing. They are roughly on the same scale as the Marvel Crisis Protocol. They're just a little bit skinnier, but a little bit, I think a little bit taller, but a little bit skinnier. It's a weird sizing thing going on there, but the models are absolutely great. The game, it's a little clunky. Well, it's a lot clunky, especially if you compare it to Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is a very smooth running game. And then you look at DC Comics, it's a little clunky. Now, if they were to fix that, or somebody else was to take the IP, let's say Warner Brothers, Discovery, whoever it is that owns it now, goes, hey, Night Models, we're cutting a contract. You guys are just, it's not going anywhere. Just like Marvel took away their Marvel game from you, we're going to take our our IP away from Unite models, and we're going to give it to somebody else who can do a better job. Hell, if they were to give it to Atomic Mass Games, and Atomic Mass Games are in DC and Marvel, that would not only be awesome, but then we could have a legitimate crossover universe. Would be awesome. Atomic Mass Games, Asmodee, get on that. All right, let's get to our number one and wrap this up. Transformers. So, more than meets the eye indeed. Transformers has it's been around since the 80s, and it's got multiple game systems out there. Tabletop, board games. It's got not miniature games. It's got card games. It's got digital games, online games, mobile games, and then a huge history of animated series and even live action series. Now, this game could really make it to the tabletop. You've got multiple generations of the different robots in disguise that have come out, all the different Transformers. We have the different series, the Beast Wars, the Cybertronian Wars, the original series, Gen 1, 2, 3, 22, whatever. We've got all the Autobots, we've got the Decepticons, and the other, races or the other factions, like I can't think of their names, so you guys please forgive me about that. But then you have factions within factions. So you have sub-factions for these. This game would really be amazing on the tabletop. Yes, there are some miniatures out there by WizKids, and they are really good especially for what you're paying for. I pray that WizKids does not create a game, because WizKids cannot make tabletop games. We've seen it repeatedly over and over again with all their Dungeons and Dragons games. I've covered that before. So I'm praying that if there is going to be a game in the future, that they don't do it. That whoever, I think Hasbro has the license, but they hand it over to somebody else to do, because WizKids will screw it up. Miniature wise, man, you would get everybody under the sun just buying the models and even trying them out. I can already see, depending on the scale, Warhammer 40,000 players buying the models and making, especially if they're about the right size, and making some Warhammer 40,000 faction with Transformers. I can see this happening. This, I think, though, would be a good solid number one in regards to a tabletop game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Before you get there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate that. We are coming up at the end of this month with our next giveaway, and if you're not a subscriber, I can't include you in the giveaway. But let me know what you guys think about this video. What did I miss? What do you think needs to be added? Am I on right? Obviously it's my personal opinion, but what's your opinion of this roster? Do I need to switch it up? Let me know what you guys think about this. I appreciate it. Anyways, you guys have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll chat with you guys later. See ya.